Good morning, family. Wonderful, wonderful. I am grateful to see all of you here today. We are going to begin, and I'm going to ask you kindly to stand just so we can have a short devotion. Let's start with the choruses. The center is almost here. Should be here right now. We're going to have a short devotion. And by the time we're finished, it should be here. Right, so we're going to start by singing Press Along Saints. After 2, 1, 2. Press along Saints, press along. Press along Saints, press along. Someone please do the prayer chorus. Let us sing saturate me after 2, 1, 2. Saturate me in your anointing. Saturate me, Lord. Saturate me in your presence. In my life, saturate me, oh Lord.
Lord, today.
One more time.
Saturate me in your anointing. Saturate me, Lord. Saturate me in your presence. I wanna have more of your anointing in my life. Saturate me, O Lord, today.
Let us pray. Kind, compassionate Father, we do want to thank you for waking us up this morning. We want to thank you for providing breakfast for us. Lord, as about to go throughout this day proceeding, I ask, Lord, that we will not leave the same way we have came, but we will have learned something new to impact the students that we go out to teach. This is my prayer in His name.
Amen.
Thank you. You may take your seats. All right, so we're going to begin our health and wellness day. In this session, we're going to be talking about psychosocial wellness. And of course, this is very, very important to us as young people as we try to, and as we aim to develop into more mature adults, right? Right. So without further ado, our guest speaker is here. I'm going to ask Mr. Wentworth Jackson to come and introduce him.
Good morning, family. Our guest speaker, first and foremost, considers himself an educator, a proud graduate of the Michael Teachers College. He spent approximately 10 years educating students at the secondary level in the areas of religious education, mathematics, and science before pursuing his calling. His passion for mathematics and religious education had its roots at his alma mater, St. Mary High School, and he proudly acknowledges the impact his alma mater has had on his life and how it has shaped his professional path. His love for uniformity, discipline, and the strong values reinforced by his school cadet corps kindled a passion that would later result in him joining the Jamaica Cadet Force as an officer and later enlisting to serve his country by joining the Jamaica Defense Force as an officer. He is currently serving in a different way as he has now devoted his life to serving Christ and kingdom building. He has been commissioned by God through the Jamaica Baptist Union to shepherd the Balaclava circuit of Baptist churches, which include Balaclava Baptist, Rose Valley Baptist, and the Endersley Baptist Church. He has worn and continues to wear many hats. He is a counselor, board of chairman of 2 institutions, a chaplain, a CAC supervisor, and a motivational speaker. His school accolades include academic award from the United Theological College of the West Indies and UNONA. His national accolades include National Intersecondary School Debate Champion Team of 1998, the Governor General's Award for Excellence in Contribution towards Youth Development in the year 2008. An interesting fact about our guest speaker is that he has only never worked in 4 parishes, which include Portland, St. Thomas, Clarendon, and Hanover. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our guest speaker, Reverend Gareth Irving.
Good morning, CTC. I can actually say good morning, family, because though I am a graduate of the Michael Teachers College, I have been here so many times and participated in so many things that I feel like family. So, good morning, family. I normally take a pet peeve about the spell. Garethirvi. Why do I have a pet peeve about it? Very rarely do you see my name or that spelling for both names. So I'm very peculiar thing. Anyway, psychosocial wellness. I began with the whole thing about my name because psychosocial wellness speaks to being in a state of mind and heart where you are at ease. Everybody at ease this morning? No? All right, don't put this way. Do you think you can be at ease? All right, cool. I want to suggest that it's going to be my aim by the end of our session to put you at ease. Fair enough? Now, there are 2 core points that I am going to ask you to project if it's possible. The first will deal with the theory. The second will hopefully, by the end of it, put you at ease. Fair enough? Good. So, what is psychosocial wellness? Psychosocial wellness, in order for us to understand it, we must understand the term, and we must first acknowledge that for all of us, there is an individual need and a desire to relate. You ever in our class, and you just say, no, I was a maths teacher, so I definitely can relate. It's one thing to teach maths, it's another thing to learn maths to teach it. It's one thing to teach science, it's another thing to learn the chemistry part of science. You teach it. Things like titration and things like mole concept. To this day, I am scarred. Because the truth is that we all want to relate, whether it is to a concept, to people, to things. There is a natural desire to relate. Now, the word psychosocial is comprised of 2 words. Psycho, and psycho don't mean man in this case, just in case you're wondering. But psycho is derived from a Greek term, psyche, which means soul or life. So in essence, what psychosocial is saying to us is that there is a feeling that was had by the early thinkers that the key to unlocking one's soul or one's essence as to who you truly are has to do with the mind. So psyche or psyche is really about unlocking the mind. Now, it's appropriate then for us to posit that as individuals, we are not merely physical, or physical beings, but we are intellectual beings as well. Do you agree? If you agree, I don't agree, that's all right, you know. Because a part of who you are is a person who's free to think for yourself. If you think it's all about the glam and all of these things, then that's fine, that's okay. It's okay. But here's the thing: the physical will pass away. So for all them muscle man, them thick body man, abs from all the way up here, so come down here, so in back, them something there. After a while, it's going to diminish. For all the ladies, hey, double D or whatever alphabet letter, maybe after a while, it's going to look like a mountain, but it might after a while look like a valley. Reality. Physical things diminish after a while. It's up here, so the intellect, if you keep sharpening it, it's like wine. It gets better with time. And there are so many of us who place so much emphasis on the physical self that we do not develop the other aspects of ourselves. And that is why developing the mind is important. Now, many people overlook this as a critical aspect, and there are others who undermine or downplay because they either don't understand it or are afraid to embrace it. So there was a point in time when people used to call me a nerd. And when they did, I was offended. You know why? Because nerd had a bad connotation aligned with it. But for me, I came to understand that nerd was somebody's interpretation of another individual who was an intellectual. No, reflecting like I wasn't nerd. I used to do things like study the dictionary. Don't judge me. I did it because I always wanted to be a master of the craft of language. And so I wanted to be able to walk into a room and command the room by using the necessary words that would effect change in a person's life. I learned through my study of the dictionary, behind an English dictionary was, that I could not only impress, control, disarm, or do a number of things to persons by the use of words. Let me show them. I saw somebody on my way here, and they go, "Pastor, walk on," he said, "but they're not general." No, in that person's mind. All right. A pastor man, can't reason. I live, it's not true. See, straight. Now, I was speaking to a JP the other day. She says, "Oh, Pastor Irving, I heard that." Actually, and I began. Now, somebody met me and we must start with for the first time a while ago. And she says, "Oh, Greg, it's so lovely to meet you." And I go, "Morning, say, No, if I had said, yeah, no. So I learned early that using language can disarm, or it can place you in a position in a person's mind at a particular place. It's how you use your intellect, the psyche. But the social aspect is also important. Because as human beings, we are created as relational beings, feeling the desire or need to relate or be in relationships. And this is what comprises our social selves. Now, I want to just declare something. There are several people in this room right now that are going to be in future relationships with me. Don't worry, you won't get health results. I guarantee you, I'm that confident. Now, the problem is that when we think of relationship, we think of intimacy. You hear exactly where the question was? But relationship really speaks about your desire to relate. So I'm sure that somebody will come to me and go, sir, we can get a number. We want to talk to you about. And a relationship has been formed. Understand? We all have desire to relate. Can you relate? You can relate? Yes. To the man then. You see a bee, a girl, a lady. Immediately you feel the need to relate. Now, how you relate will depend on what you say as you try to relate your desire for a possible relationship. Now, as to which ship she put you in, that will be a different type of something. You might get into friendship or companionship or another kind of. But you know, and if you don't work out, well, you know, this ship just sick. So, but the fact is, we all desire to be in some form of relationship, and that speaks to our social life. Now, the dynamic of human interaction is that it has a lasting impact on your mind, your psyche. But the emotions are key to self-understanding. So, how you think about something is one, but how you relate it in your life in terms of how you now interact with others brings about self-understanding. Now, I want to also suggest to you that in setting this platform, we are now at a very good place to understand ourselves. Why? Because this that we're talking about is about wellness. Go to the next, the next PowerPoint, please. Now, wellness automatically implies that this is not about failure. It's not about mental health or psychosocial health. It's psychosocial wellness. Wellness suggests that the outcome is going to be positive. If you say psychosocial health, your health can be good or good or bad. But when you say psychosocial wellness, what you're promoting is the idea that we are going to have a positive outcome. Make sense? That's the power of words. So, what is being promoted for you is the idea of psychosocial wellness. The idea that the positive impact of having both mind and heart or relations at a good place is going to put you in a better state emotionally, intellectually, and every other kind of alley that you can think of. Fair enough? Good. So, let us go to the next presentation that speaks to how we achieve this. We achieve this by seeking to understand that our lives are always under construction. So we're going to talk about the road to success. Road to success. What does success have anything to do with this psychosocial wellness? Well, for many of us, we believe that when we talk about success, it has to do about money or attaining fame or any of those things. But a man by the name of Sizzler Kalonji says, rise to the occasion. Look at yourself, then say you're strong. No one can stop you. Rise to the occasion. Go ahead. You know you're strong. No one can stop you. It's for you to make you know that you've got a chance. Get up and step towards your goal. It's all right. Fulfill your needs and wants. Why does Sizzler say this? Because in order for us to truly achieve success, we have to do something about it. Agree? You don't agree? Me want to see who can stay in their room and pass the exam. It is not like Nike, just do it. It is impossible. Because your exam has particular stipulations. So no matter if you decide to study, not study, SWAT, whatever the case may be, you have to go to the exam in order to attempt to be successful. True or false? So even if you put in minimal effort, you have to do so. And it's the same thing with life. As you seek to develop psychosocial wellness, you are seeking to be successful. And success suggests that a goal or goals have been or are being achieved or even surpassed. And it assumes that the accomplishment of an intended purpose, though this can be misleading at times, is one that you are working towards. It is gauging with an aim to maximize your true potential. Next slide. That's a picture of Dubai in the 1960s. Look good, natural. No, that look. No, not that one. That one. No, is that one? Yeah, that one. That looks good for what it was. But then they put in some effort to upgrade some things, to fix some things, to modernize it, and then it became some people know I don't know to say, yeah, I stop like that one. Yeah, man. Right. So we are seeing where people are beginning to dream and put in the perspective now what they desire. And so you've already begun to pave a road towards achieving what you want. Next slide. So that was Dubai in around the late 70s, early 80s. Beautiful. Next slide. Same this. Go back. Forward. Upgrade the truth. How many of you go back again are at that stage right now? No, for real. If you think about it, because I know that there are the first years in 2 hours. Then we can sleep home. No, I'm pissed. I think I joke, man. Then you know say you can actually walk through a place and identify persons without you even putting up your hand. Okay, we don't want to shame. I'm not having no, but I'm joking. It's true. There's a certain confidence that you have as a second or third year that you don't have as a first year. And if you do find a person with that confidence and certainty about themselves and self-awareness, it's very rare. It's not often asked, it's 10. Why? Because you are still under construction. CTC is the construction company that is putting you together to be pedagogues. Who know pedagogy? Pedagogues. Anyone wants to tell what that means? Yes, sir. Bam. What year are you? 30. Hear this. Are you a member of the student body in any way, shape or form. But you aspire to be? No? What? No, that caught me off guard. Because immediately you began by saying pedagogy refers to. He didn't say it is the, no. He put in context and was about to outline for me. It's very systematic what he was about. So he told me first and foremost that he was either a third year or a very bright second year. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. That's immediate thought came to me. Third year or bright second. Why? Because of how he was able to construct it in his mind and put it forward. And he will tell you, and I'm not even looking over there, that he paused before he answered. True or false? No, I'm not a mind reader. I just understand how the mind works. We're all under construction. And so, as we seek to develop both the psycho and the social, we have to understand that they are merged. He pulled from the psycho a while ago, and he had the opportunity to relate to me, social. So he began by thinking it through and once all like he did. And once he had processed it quickly, he says, pedagogy refers first. And he began. I didn't need him to go any further. Immediately, I knew that this was somebody who was self-aware and self-assured. So, the road is under construction, and we have to be mindful of this. Next slide, please. 2 slides. Another one, yes. So, how do we get here? Next slide. We need to create a blueprint, sketch out where we want to go, and strategically and systematically organize how we plan to get. Anybody here ever stressed? Stress. S-T-R-E-S-S-E-D. Stressed. Can I get a witness? Can I get another witness? Stress is an emotional response to an issue or circumstance that begins by affecting us psychologically. But we've all been there. The social means that is why I relate. So somebody will come and go, how you look so? What do you say? Stress. As a matter of fact, if you read this, you say, yo, stress. You are relating to someone social, a psychological issue that is impacting. Now, the issue itself may not develop here, but it is impacting here and manifesting here. Psychosocial. Ladies, when you're in love, if you've ever been there, it begins, you think, here, the truth. It begins here. You see something, you process it, you something. Psychosocial. So, how does it manifest itself? In what part? Just like how my wife every time she say asapa, well, in upper half. Yeah, she kind of pointed out for me. Here. I say, no. You have a six pack too. It arranged differently. You know, me back from back to front. We've got from up to down. That's fine. See everything. But if you want to really affect her psychologically, I say, well, the truth is, you are looking at yourself and your son. And me married you. You chose me over that. Yeah, me know. The truth is that we begin to process things psychologically. And as we process, we manifest through how we relate to others. And so the psychosocial well-being of individuals should never be taken for granted because we are systematically trying to build or construct this roadway. So I'm going to speed up now. So travel with me, I'm going to press gas, hold it on gas, accelerate, so keep on. Here we go. Now, as you are constructing this pathway to develop a better psychosocial lifestyle, you must always keep in mind that you are going to be strategic about how you approach it. So you have a goal, you're working towards your goal. What is your goal? To become the best version of you. Fair enough? What does the best version of me look like? I have sound mind, healthy body, good relationships, and being fast and into strong spiritual growth. So there is a relationship between mind, body, and soul. So the heart and mind are our combined to give us soul. So as you're constructing this individual, the best version of you, you have to remember that you can take templates from other people. You can look and say, like that, that. Like those things. And you can look at them, evaluate, assess, and then you are going to create something for yourself. Now, while looking at something that's a template for others is a good thing, customizing is even better. Because when you customize it, you are tailor fitting it, you are retrofitting it for your purpose. Now, once you have the basics, you can craft a larger plan. Next slide. So, how do we advance our plan? We do this by going through, next slide, the stages of highway development. Planning, project development, final design, right-of-way, construction, and maintenance. It just goes more. Here we go. How many people know what they want to do with their life in 5 years? Oh, sorry, how many students? All right. Yes, ma'am? Don't be angry. Yes, you. Nice little, I'm not sure if it's cane row or corn row or something. Yes. Oh, you want to work for the government for 5 years? Oh, you have to. Start again? No, I didn't ask you, where are you going to be? I said, if you know what you or where you want to be. Do you want to work for the government? No, he didn't ask you. Wait, answer it fire. Do you want to work for it? Or you want to work for the government or you want a bad job?
I want to.
Oh, no, we're just checking. Because sometimes we find ourselves in positions that we don't want to be. It's not ideal for us. My friend who stood at the back? Yes. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I will be working for the government also.
Okay.
Not only that, I'll be acquiring a skill, and then after 2 years of working for the government, I want to go get my master's.
In what? Let us really afterwards.
5 years finish, hopefully I could migrate.
You're leaving us? I could not mastermind. Shame on you. On Patreon. But here's the thing. We have a plan. That's all I had, maybe 8, 9 year plan. See, 5 years, then 2 years, then 1.5 years, 8.5. Yeah. 9 year plan. So like you have it together, but it's just a plan. Plans change, plans evolve based on your circumstances. Now, what you need to do, and I'm speaking directly to you now, if you have a 9 year plan, you're going to work on your project development. So this is your project. You have an end goal of getting overseas to work in whatever field. You are going to begin to set targets. So my first target is, now that I am you're a double option math or double option? So you're a double option math student. Stand again, or double option math student. First year? Second year, okay. So you're a double option math student, second year. Which parish are you from? St. Elizabeth. Do you plan to work in St. Elizabeth? No. So you begin now, from now, to map out where you want to work. You're mapping out not only where you want to work, but you have to start working out, all right, I'm going to work in Kingston. I have to understand Kingston life. Kingston life means higher rent, smaller rooms, so and so. So you're working on something. Remember, you're not going to work at that, you're not job, not secure just yet. So you're working on this. All right, cool. I want to work at a prestigious brand name school for artists. Cool. If that's going to be the case, I need to make sure that we put some things from now on my resume that make my resume. Understand? Now, very rarely do I tell people that I'm a recipient of the Government General Award for Excellence and all. But we put it on today simply because I think it's crucial to understanding who I am and my makeup. What qualifies me to speak to you today. So I put up, but very rarely, and persons who know me will tell you, I don't bring up them things here. It is only brought up when it's convenient, not otherwise. Because while it's an achievement, truthfully, it really helps me. How does it benefit me telling you that I'm the Governor General Award recipient for excellence and contribution to youth development? Is it going to get more money? No. Is it going to give me fame? No. What's the purpose of telling you? It makes you know what type of person I am. Apart from that, nothing else. But it is good at resume. I hope you understand. So somebody looks at that and go, that person. No, funny thing is, we now get more paid than anybody else. Same pay, but at least I'm employed. Making sense? So I'm setting goals, putting things in place to understand how I can make myself a better version of myself. Create a final draft or design in your mind. Make accommodation for it for right of way. Anything can happen. In my second year of my company, I fell ill. Had to do surgery, was out of school for a good portion of the time, and I failed my major. It meant I would have to resit second year, and everybody else would move on to third year, and I was broken. I was depressed. But because everybody I knew, all of my friends and colleagues were moving on. And I felt as if I had failed. It's not my fault. It's it. Could I have done anything about it? No. But I had a card that I was dealt middle of the day. So for weeks, I didn't leave my room. I was depressed. Depression is not good for your psychosocial well-being. A lecturer asked to see my alias in college was Pepsi. PEPS, Pepsi. Because I was very bubbly personality. And this is my interpretation now, don't quote me on it, because if you ask anybody else in analysis. But you know, I was just cool and I gave you a feeling that but he says, Pepsi, I want to talk to you. I said, yes, Rev. He says, you got an A on the course that you did when you went on TP and whatnot. I said, yes, Rev. He says, all right. When we go out for third year teaching practice, we want you to sit in and teach the second year course for us. It was a way of encouraging me. That was able to heal me psychologically and emotionally. Because remember, I'm looking in the room because I'm depressed or stress. As this happened, I found now that in order to play the part, I have to dress up. So I start dress the part. So I would now go to the class. Remember, I'm in second year with these students. But I'm supposed to be in third year. And we get A, and you don't get none. So you have something you can learn from me. So I walked in with a sense of confidence. And I taught that class. But that semester, I taught that class once they were open to me. And the students did really well. So you know what I put on my resume now? Part-time student lecturer. Be my coach. And I had evidence to back that up. So when I put that on my resume, my first job was at St. Hugh's High School for girls. And I went basically into an acting HOD role at St. Hugh's because I was a part-time student lecturer. And I was the only RE specialist at the school. One person changed my perspective by giving me a chance and encouraging me. He was understanding that I was still under construction. And so he helped me to understand how to create a better version of myself. Next slide. So we're going to move really quickly now. Here we go. So that's the actual starting point. You see that? That's a mountain. We have many mountains. No, we have many mountains to conquer, to knock down, to gauge in order to achieve the highway of success that we want. True? What are some of these mountains? Learning challenges, relationships, financial problems, family, you name it, they are there. But a mountain has potential for something else. Next slide. So the previous slide was where it actually started, but this is looking at the task ahead. You see that? That's something there, excavator right there, somebody get like something there. It look rough, not true? That look rough. In order to get to that point, there is going to be a lot of things that are happening. We are scraping away, tearing away at some bad habits, tearing away at some situations that need to be properly developed. But in order for us to achieve success, we have to break away a number of things in order to get to where we want. Follow? Next slide. But notice that now this excavator, go back, look again. You notice all of a sudden where it is now is level. But in order for it to be on a level place, it had to be on the edge at some point, scraping away in order to make room for itself. Making sense? And the same thing will happen to you. You get some C and some C minus, and heaven forbid anybody get anything lower than C. Because if you are under C, means yeah, sure. So you go. No, look at what you have to. But we understand that there are going to be moments, low points, but in order to achieve, we have to scrape away and make room for improvement. Next. Now, notice, as far as you can see, that little trench on the dirt road with the excavator car. You see? That's a nice road, not true? Anybody who say, yeah, well, I'm going to show you. Because truth be told, that look nice, not the nice about that, not fancy about it. But you might just be able to sing along with me. There's a point where you're going to move past the same and say, look at me now when they think me less than. Oh. You see, come down and say, I don't understand this. But the fact is, it's not always going to be pretty to get to where you want to go. Next slide. But see, we're getting there. I know this is not possible. I don't know if I'm starting here. You see? It's not always going to be looking beautiful, but at least we're making progress. It's not look more like road on the road. At least it can be a road in the old bag. And there is road yet, you're like a road. So we're getting there. Next. Same level. There is road now. So if you add on the add. All right. Row add. Hey. Look here. I said I loved English, but I was a math specialist. So no. Still getting there, but notice that the role I'm adding now and the role I'm adding pressure. There are situations that will add pressure to your life. And it can go rough and it will feel heavy and burdensome, but know that what is happening is that you are being fine-tuned. Pick up yourself. Process. Second year? Oh, no, they don't be no disrespect. How dare you call me a second year? Next. But notice that they are building layers. So also in your life, you can put in some things. Or study. Upgrade yourself. Do some extra reading. Do a 1 or 2 course or whatever the case is. Do things that are building layers in your life in order to help develop your mind, but also your social skills. Making sense? Next slide. Is it run? And you think it's finished here, right? No. Because it's a finished product. You said, no. What else is needed? Pick up yourself. Yeah, we see some prospective third years. We see some definite third years. And we see some, yeah. Maintenance. Every now and again, you have to pause to look at what is there and realize it still needs work. Making sense? And when all is said and done, next slide, you must expect that obstacles will be at every stage from the least expected sources. Sometimes I don't earn. Sometimes I earn. I will be obstacle. And sometimes I don't. understand that in order to get to this point, you have to go through something. Yeah? You must have an evolving dream. If your dream just grabs up, I really dream, I dream. I have a question to you. You ever jump out there dreaming and then you have oh, and you turn 2 times to try and jump back and sleep that same dream? Reason with me. You want to see what the dream gonna true. You want the dream to evolve not true. This is some of that people do things, you know. But you want the dream to evolve. And that's important. If the dream never dies, it means you're always going to be growing. Now, there's a need to carry out maintenance as the pathway becomes more. And if you are doing anything that is worth doing, it's going to become more. Make sense? But never be afraid to ask why. There are times when you become stressed and you become overburdened. And the road needs a patch. As a matter of fact, you need to patch the whole top surface needs to grade off and needs to be a new surface altogether. Do not be afraid to ask for help. And the truth is that it speaks volumes of the one seeking to undertake the venture. But I want to encourage you to not only dare to be different, but dare to be outstanding. I'm a little country boy from Sydney, second of 3 children, but I've never defined myself by it. I went to a school that is only brand name in the parish. So let me tell you something, here I go. Where? Where is that? How do you find it? But when people look at me and speak to me, they go, did you go to George's? Calabar? No, no, St. Mary High. St. Mary High? And my greatest honor was to go back to my alma mater and be their guest speaker to say, look, I haven't achieved my goals yet, but I want you to know that it's possible, and this was the place that started. I could do that because I understood that my dream was constantly evolving. No, just go to the next slide for me. We live in a result-oriented world. In a world expecting results and expecting it? No. We are forced to either step up or step down. You know, I see it, step aside down. Yeah. We are truly the sum total of our experiences. Therefore, what we do today actually matters in defining and shaping our tomorrows. I encourage you to plan, project, execute, and maintain your path. Do I have time meeting? Any questions? Nobody want to relate to me? Observations? Assessments? SWOT analysis? So we're very clear. All right. I now say to the speaker, the room. Oh, sorry, there's a question?
I have a question, but a comment. I want to say my first time hearing you, and I am totally impressed. I sat here and I thought about the acknowledgement that you were having. Excellent.
Very much. Very indeed love your presentation. Just a check for those persons who are listening at the true or false. True or false. Relationship is just about intimacy. Okay, raise the hand next time. Wellness suggests that the outcome will be positive. All right. quite a lot was said, and I'm certain that we can all relate. I do hope that we are processing what was said in order to strategically pursue our desires, or dreams, or plans, or goals, or ambitions, in order to become the best version of ourselves. And if we were not listening, well, don't want to me. This time, I want to invite Mr. Samuel Newton to come and go.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Church Teachers College family, we would like to thank Mr. Reverend Curry for taking time out of your busy schedule to teach us firstly what is relationship and how the psychophysical and psychosocial affect that relationship. And it also affects the choices we make in terms of future planning and becoming our best selves. We hope to have you here again. Thank you very much.
All right, just for future reference, this is my first impression of you, my first impression of all of you. You are always going to make sure that your first impression is a lasting impression. So, on behalf of the Church Teachers College, I would like to first thank Reverend Irving for his spending time with us, taking time out of his busy schedule to teach us on relationship and physical and psychosocial effect on relationship and how it affects the choices that we make. Rev, I want to say to you that it was meaningful, it was impactful, and that we truly do expect to see that. Thank you. First impression. You never talk to me, none. Always make sure you relate to the person who you are speaking. Why? First impressions. Oh.
All right. Thank you very much. We are almost out of here. Just want to remind you that immediately after this session, we're going to have a session in the lecture theater on financial wellness. As college students, I know that we need it, indeed. So as soon as you leave the chapel, make your way to the lecture theater, where we will learn about financial. Well, before I let you go, I just want to pray quickly. So please, reverence. Heavenly Father, Lord God, I want to come before you and thank you for thanks. So everything that you're doing is, I thank you for making us and protecting us and bringing us here to hear from your servant. I thank you for everything that was said, and I pray that we can all use it to make ourselves better. As we go to the rest of the day, where we be us, and everything that is said and done, so that into your will and to your glory, and to you, make the thanks in Jesus' name. have yourself a wonderful day.